Hi guys! In this video we'll talk about how to declutter your books. So I've been a professional home organizer for almost 9 years now, and over the course of those years I've worked in hundreds of homes helping to declutter and simplify and organize and just make a client's home feel really good to them and the other people who live there. In the process I've worked with a lot of books. So just to give you an idea of the scale, one of the biggest jobs that I had to do involving books had to do with somewhere between 2,500 to 3,000 books, and then we built this home library. So we took a room that used to be a sitting room and we put floor-to-ceiling bookcases in, built-ins, and then I brought in all the books from all the areas of their home and then organized them by genre and then alphabetically, and it turned out to be a really beautiful, like peaceful, calming room. Really nice. We put in some palms, like the floor plants. Really gorgeous. And then I put it together some smaller home libraries too. So that's one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, I've worked with clients who have no books or who had minimal books, and then we ended up decluttering them all for various reasons. So those are the two ends of the spectrum, and most of my clients that I've worked with have fallen somewhere in between. So 90% or more of the people that I work with, it's more nuanced. And I think that when you're decluttering books, it's very subjective and it's personal, and sometimes it could even get emotional. So in this video, I wanted to give you some step-by-step actionable tips that you can follow if you are going to declutter your books. By the way, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for being here. And if you're new here, my name is Mika and I'm a writer and a professional home organizer, and I'm writing a book series about how to have good vibes in your home, and I'm currently working on the decluttering book. As I write, I share some of what I've written for the week on this channel, and this week I wrote about how to declutter books. So getting into it. How to declutter your books. Actionable tips for everyone. The first thing that you want to do is you want to grab the books from all around your home so they're all gathered together. And then you want to pull everything down off of your bookcase. So a lot of people do it onto the floor. Some people do it onto the coffee table, some people do it onto the desk or dining room table, but wherever is convenient for you in your home to pull all the books down and off the shelf, which is really important. So similar to clothes, if you keep your clothes in your closet and then you try to declutter them, you're not going to be able to let go of as many. You want to take them down out of their current home and then put them onto the floor or wherever is convenient for you to go through them. And so I'm going to reference Marie Kondo here, but one of the things that I like that she says is tap the books to wake them up. And I remember reading that, and then I started doing it in clients' homes, and I was like, I wonder if that actually works. Very interesting. And it does. There's something about it where I feel like when you tap the books to wake up like their energy, the client seems to often let go of more. I feel like there's a correlation there. So I really like that. Even if it's just something light, just tap it to wake it up. Then you want to look at each one and hold each one by one. So hold each one in your hand and then focus on the book at hand and then make a decision. So this is with decluttering anything, but I'm not going to be as effective if I'm trying to declutter 2 things at once or 5 things or 6 things. So just see. If I take this book, I'm going to feel it, take a look at it. How do I feel about it? Then I can just focus on one thing at once. I'm less likely to make errors. I'm more likely to make better decisions, but I'm just going to look at this book. Okay, like this book, I really like it, so I'm going to keep it, right? Like one book at a time. Then I'll go to the next book. So this book, how does it make me feel? Keep. But okay, so I have keeps on my desk, obviously, but yeah, so you want to just look at one book one by one, and then the thing is, if you look at things in bulk, your mind automates what you're seeing and feeling instead of tuning into how you feel about each individual item. So one by one is very important. You want to create a pile as you go for keep, declutter, like let go, and then a maybe pile might develop, but it's really best if you can make it into the keep or not keep section, the keep or let go. Now, there's one other thing, I'm going to reference Marie Kondo again, but one of the things that she said that I don't personally, I have a different methodology. So I don't want to offend anybody if they're a big Marie Kondo fan, because I am too. I really like her and I really respect her and I like her methodologies and I think she wrote a great book. But I'm a different person, so I'm going to have different values and methodologies. So I'm just going to give you another perspective here. But she says when you are decluttering your books, don't open it to look through it. But I feel like when I am at a bookstore and I'm going to buy a book, I often just take one page, I flip it to a random page, and then I read the style of writing to see if I like it or not. Is this a book that I'm going to want to read? And oftentimes that one page will tell me so much. So I always give my client room to flip to a page. A lot of times they instinctively want to, and then flip to a page and then read through it. So while they're reading through it, I try not to be intrusive, and I'm often piling books or bringing them closer or putting them so they're more within reach of them. But I think it's important to, if you're unsure, instead of just decluttering a book, that book might be able to provide you tons of value or entertainment. So I think, me personally, and how I work with my clients, if you feel the urge to open it up to a page and just read a book, it gives you the ability to assess the book if you're not sure. You can tell only so much from the cover. You can tell some of what the book is going to mean to you from the cover. You can tell some of it by the energetic resonance of holding it. But unless you take a page just to see in a sample of the writing style and see if this is something that you might be into, I feel like you can't properly assess whether you're going to let go of the book or not if you're on the fence about it. So anyways, I think she says don't go through the book just because you'll lose momentum. But I think if you have a lot of books around you and your one goal for the day is to get all this decluttered, cleaned up, and put back on the shelf and organized, this is a pretty big goal in front of you, then you're not going to lose momentum because that's your one goal that you're moving towards. But I think there's no harm. I've never lost momentum with a client if I give them a minute or two just to read through the page and tune into the book and see if this is something that they want to read. But I think, how can you assess the book if you're unsure and you can't open the page? But that's just my take on it. So you have two different perspectives there, and just something to keep in mind. But I think if you do have an urge, go through the book, take a gander at it. Don't spend too much time, but just enough time to get an assessment of the book. Is this something that I'd want to read? So kind of like the reverse of if you're going to buy it. You'll usually flip through a page. And a lot of times we already know the essence of a book, or we've already read a book, or we've already done that, and then we just innately know. So you're not going to open up all the books and flip through them. But some you might feel compelled to, and I feel like totally do so. And you want to keep the books that make you happy. You want to keep the books that tug at your soul and just you will want to read again, or that inspire you. Books that you're so happy to have on your bookshelf, or you're really looking forward to reading. Reference books that you can actually use, unless you're low on space and you can find the information online. And I made a video on the Japanese concept of tsundoku, which has to do with having unread books in your home. And in that video, I delved into the energetic resonance of books, and what's written on the spine can have a subconscious influence on us when we see it. So if you're interested, I'll link that video at the end of this video if you want to learn more about that topic. But that's something to mind as well. The energetic resonance of a book, as well as what's written on the spine, if it's going to be somewhere that you can see it. Remember that it could have a subconscious influence on you. We're connected to everything that's in our homes, so anything that you see, especially that's written out, could potentially have a subconscious influence on us. And a few questions that you can ask are, am I ever going to read this book again, if you've already read it? Will this book provide me value if I hold on to it? Also, would I buy this book today? And just go through your books one by one. And the key element here is tuning into each book one by one. You will build up a momentum because you'll want to get all of the books decluttered and cleaned and in their respective stacks. And that's the goal. So I don't think you'll lose sight of the goal. But once you get momentum, it becomes really freeing. It becomes really fun. And you'll be through your books before you know it. The next thing that you want to do is you want to clean off your shelf. and refresh the energy, get the dust off and get it nice and clean. And I think that this is an opportune time to relax for a few minutes. Take a break and assess how you feel about the books that you've decluttered. So you want to gauge, for the space that I have versus the books that I have, am I happy with how many books I've decluttered? And most of the time people are. You just need to do this and then put the books back on the shelf. But I just want to give you an optional second thing to watch out for. So if you've decluttered your books, but you're like, oh man, I still feel like I have too much, it's not enough to help me with the space, do a second sweep. Go through the stacks again. Create a new keep and let go of stack, because this is the best time to do it while the books are already pulled down. You're already having everything out. But sometimes if we do a second sweep, we have more clarity the second time. And so the second time that you go through it, you might find even more books to declutter. And then, just assess, how do you feel now? A lot of times after the second sweep, if we choose to do one, the client feels so good. And then you can put them back on your bookcase or shelf. Some people want to organize by genre, by author, by color, or even by the emotions that they evoke. So when I was living in my small space apartment and then I had that long bookshelf with all my books, my favorite books were on the very right, and there's just like a small bit of them that they were my absolute favorites on the shelf. And then a few inspiring ones were in the middle, but I played with it. I think sometimes when it's really color coordinated, I wonder if it looks like too staged, even though in some places it looks really pretty. But I think I had color coordinated and then I had switched it out just enough. I played with it for a while to get it to where it didn't look too color coordinated, just because that was a main shelf that you could see from everywhere in my old apartment. But now for my books, I'm organizing by genre. And so it really depends on your personal preference. But organize the bookcase, and then it's functional decor, but if you want, you can beautify it, put in some plants and trinkets, and organize your bookshelves so that it just feels right to you and visually appealing and creates a visually inspiring space. You know, some people prefer a minimalist look, or some people prefer a cozy, eclectic vibe. But your bookshelf should ultimately reflect your unique personality and your style, something that makes your heart soar. And one other thing that you can do, if you feel like you don't have that much space, but you definitely want to keep these books, explore various storage options. There are so many great storage options and clever ones. Like there's shelves that you can put on the walls that are invisible, and then it just looks like there's books stacked on the wall. There's beautiful built-in bookcases, floor to ceiling, if you have the space to do that. Creating a home library, creating a cozy book corner, or just having a simple shelf with your books on it and your plants and twinkle lights. I love that combination. So now, what about the books that you've decided to let go of? There are various great ways to let go of books. So there are library donations, and the library might use them to put them into their system, or there's often these friends of the library book sales. I love going to those, but I feel like they bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, and the library then sells the book at a low price to somebody who is buying the book. And it's just a fun way to let go of your books, to donate to the library so that they can disperse it to other people who might want it. There's little trees outside of sometimes libraries and sometimes outside of neighborhoods, but they're little book trees that have been popping up. But it looks like a tree house, and then there's little books inside. Usually you can leave a book in there and then take a book, or leave books in there. So that could be a good way to let go of books, and could just be a fun way for somebody who's walking or jogging by, or a kid that's walking by, to be able to pick up books and read them. There are donation centers. You can sell your books. Also, a good website is Book Scouter, and it's kind of like the kayaks for travel, but it's like the kayak of book selling. So if you want to sell your books, it'll tell you how much each book is worth at different retailers, what they'll pay you for it. There are also used bookstores, eBay, Amazon. You can also But going back to donating, donate to nursing homes and assisted living facilities. They love to have books. I've donated to them a lot of times, my clients' books, and I'll go drop them off and they're always very grateful. So those are a few ways to let go of books. When you're selling books, keep in mind that there's not much of a return on, like, financial return on a lot of the books. So it's mostly by volume that you make a return. But I think donating is, I mean, it's up to you, but donating is really great because when you give, you get. And when you give joy and you do it from a good place, when you give with the intention of giving, something comes back to you in a different way. So you don't give just to get something back, but if you give with the intention of giving, then I think something comes back to you in a different form where you need it most. So another thing is that you want to declutter with curiosity and compassion. So decluttering is a journey, it's a destination too, but it's a journey, and you can learn so much about yourself as you're decluttering through your possessions. You learn what's valuable to you, what's not, and where you are in your life, and where you've been in your life, and where you're headed. There's just so much. We're subtly connected to everything that's in our homes, and it's a good opportunity to learn about ourselves, to honor ourselves, and to create value for ourselves. So be patient with yourself, trust your instincts, and enjoy the process of letting go and making room for new stories and adventures. And I hope that you enjoy decluttering your books. I also hope that you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, could you please hit the like button, as it helps more people to find my channel, and I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.